which suggests that the names we call the gods are not their true names, but merely titles which can be inherited. But more on that in tomorrow's lecture. We can see the influence of the gods and their domains on the evolution of language. For example, the term mortal in the common tongue has its roots in the name of Mortaine, as she is the goddess of death. The same goes for the term solar in the sun god Exsol, or the term lunar in the moon goddess Lunella. The elven linguist... Oh, it seems I will have to expound upon this topic tomorrow. Our time is up. Remember to bring your spellbooks tomorrow, as we will be demonstrating how the gods influence every aspect of magic, divine or otherwise.
Professor Hogwin?
Oh, hello there. What is your name?
My name's Ari Leverette. I'm a first year.
It's nice to meet you, Ari. How did you find the lecture? I always get a little nervous the first class of the new semester.
I thought it was great. Obviously, this is only Introduction to Theology, so there wasn't anything I didn't already know. Also, I think your voice may have put some of the other students to sleep.
Ah, that is the curse of the Firbolg timbre, I'm afraid. My wife jokes I should have become a nanny instead of a professor because I'm so good at putting children to sleep. Anyway, what can I do for you, Miss Ari?
I have a question about theology.
You've come to the right professor. What is your question?
How do you kill a god?
Miss Ari, that is a rather peculiar question.
Not me specifically, just how does a god die? I know it's happened before, but they shouldn't be able to, right? I mean, they're the gods.
Well, it is rare, and not a little difficult, but it is possible. To our knowledge, the only way for a god to die is for them to be killed by another deity. But as such an incident has only occurred once, we have very little more information on the topic.
What about a prolonged death, like from a slow-acting poison?
Miss Ari, what could possibly have caused you to ask such questions? Do you intend to kill one of the gods?
What? No! It just doesn't seem like it should be possible. We call the gods immortal, and sure, they've been around since time began, but clearly they aren't immortal. By what mechanism does a god even kill another?
As is true of every aspect of the arcane sciences, unfortunately there is far more of what we don't know than of that which we do know. This is even more true when it comes to the gods. There has only been one time in history where mortals had the chance to interact directly with the divine, but unfortunately it was more of a bloodbath than a triumph of research and study.
There has to be more we can discover.
There absolutely is. The most honest thing a scholar can say is, I do not know, but the worst thing a scholar can say is, I can never know. We are constantly learning new things about this world of ours, and just because we do not understand something now, does not mean we won't in the future.
What if the future isn't soon enough? What if there's a time limit?
A time limit for what?
I want to find out why the...
That is a conundrum even the wisest of arcane scholars have not been able to answer.
It's okay to say I do not know, but not to say I can never know, right? That's why I came to study here at the Arcane Athenaeum. I wanted to find out what's happening to...
A noble reason to pursue an education. Who am I to discourage the aspirations of a passionate young wizard? But I must ask, what does this problem have to do with killing a god?
I don't want to kill a god. I want to save one.
What makes you think there's a god that needs saving?
Think about it. What if the reason that is because...
It is an interesting hypothesis, but one that I'm afraid has little grounds in reality. And even if you were right, how would you go about preventing the death of a god?
I don't know yet. First I'd have to figure out what causes the death of a god in the first place.
I see. I encourage you to follow this line of reasoning. Consider unraveling this problem your project for my class this semester. I can't rightly expect you to solve this particular issue, but I will be grading you on the rigor of your research and critical thinking skills. Here, give me a moment.
What are you writing?
I'm making a list of books for you to check out of the library. Some on the nature of the gods, some on the Ascension War and the deaths of the old gods of love and the sun, See if you can glean anything new from these and report back to me next week.
I can do that.
Don't get frustrated with yourself if you cannot make progress. I know archmages who have made it their life's work to solve this issue, and their stagnation has driven them mad.
No offense to them, but there's no doubt in my mind that I can figure this out.
Ha! I like your confidence. Go on, then. I look forward to hearing about what you find.
Thank you, Professor Hogwin.
Good luck, Miss Ari.
You have a visitor coming.
I know.
You have been sitting there for hours.
I didn't know you were watching.
I am often watching, even when you cannot see me.
That should be unnerving, but somehow it isn't.
What is wrong, Wren? Is it the melancholy again?
It's strong today. And here I was enjoying the fact that I'd been having a good month. The universe does enjoy balance, I suppose.
Is there anything I can do?
I've served you for 100 years, Mortaine. There's never been anything you or I could do except wait for it to pass. Though it never really passes. It's always there, this knot in my stomach. Tangled threads of grief from a life unremembered.
If you're going to ask me to give your memories back again,
I know. You can't. It was in the contract. But I can't help but wonder how I'm meant to heal from something I can't remember. It's ironic, isn't it? Here I am guarding a well that can grant any wish, but the only wish I have in all the world is so far from reach.
Consider the wish of the man you once were. The man so eager to forget that he would strike a deal with death. This sanctuary, this occupation, your immortality, these things were not the gift. They were the terms, and you agreed to them.
A lot can change in a man's mind over the course of a century.
And suppose your memories did return. How do you know that the man who would then stand in your place wouldn't regret the remembrance?
Maybe he's stronger than he once thought he was.
Perhaps. Perhaps not. Sometimes it is a blessing to forget. A blessing to be given time for your mortal pains to fade.
And what would you know about the pain of mortals?
We gods are not so different from you as you may think.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'm going through it today. It's during these long stretches alone that I begin to spiral. Maybe speaking to our visitor today will lift my spirits.
I hope so. Either way, I will be back bearing gifts when she is gone.
Gifts, huh?
I have a few bottles I've been saving for a special occasion. If you're going to drown your sorrows in drink, it may as well be with wine, fit for the gods.
I'm touched that you consider comforting a depressed bard a special occasion.
In truth, my domain does not make me the most popular among the gods, and I have few friends to drink with. You'd be doing me a favor.
Well then, tonight we'll drink to unorthodox friendships that make the lonely days bearable.
I like that.
You know most people don't knock when they enter a tavern, right?
Pardon me for assuming, but this place does not seem like most taverns.
What makes you say that? Is it the fact that we're still open past midnight? You know, these 24-hour taverns are all the rage these days.
It's more so the fact that you operate out of the deadliest forest in Iathis.
Do we? Huh. I never noticed. Is that why business has been so slow?
What's going on?
What's going on is you've just survived a very treacherous journey. And there's more where that came from. So, you can either go back into the murder forest, or you can stay for a drink and rest a bit before you venture on. I'd take the latter option if I were you.
And if I do not?
You'll die.
How do you know?
You'll have to stay to find out. I can see that glint in your eye, the curiosity behind all that desperation. You're a scholar. When you encounter something that isn't supposed to be there, you can't just ignore it, can you?
I would not be alive today if my sense of self-preservation were not as strong as my inquisitive nature.
Look at me. Do you really believe that I could be any more dangerous than what you've already encountered out there?
That remains to be seen.
Well, I'll try to be as unthreatening as possible while I sip from my teacup. I painted little flowers on it, and bees. Are you in a tea mood or an alcohol mood?
Alcohol.
Me too. That was whiskey in my teacup.
Drinking to forget?
Drinking to remember. You?
To forget.
Feel free to stay in one of our rooms tonight, then. We can't have you stumbling blackout drunk into the Manglewood, though I can't recommend going out there with a hangover either.
I have spells for that, but I won't need them. Forgive me if I don't quite trust you enough to drink to intoxication or spend the night.
You're forgiven. I assume you'd prefer mead over liquor, then.
Please.
I hope you like hibiscus, because that's all I've got.
I detected an enchantment on this place. What is it?
Sharp senses. It prevents anyone in the tavern from lying.
And the enchantment on this clearing?
That one is the reason you've never heard of this place. As soon as you cross the border of this little sanctuary back into the Manglewood, you'll forget it ever existed.
An enchantment which can alter memories.
It also keeps out the beasts you probably had to fight through to get here.
Could you target memories? Say, erase the events of a specific day from someone's mind?
Not me, no. Those enchantments were set in place by a force far greater than myself.
Mortaine.
Indeed.
But the wishing well, it could accomplish something like that, couldn't it?
Is that what you seek?
Does that sound foolish?
It depends on what it is you wish to forget.
What is this place really? Who are you?
My name is Wren. I'm but a humble bard who loves to receive visitors. And who are you?
Right. My name is Celenia. I've grown used to strangers already knowing who I am.
Oh? Am I in the presence of a celebrity?
Some people call me that, for better or for worse.
You don't sound too pleased with your fame.
No. No, I'm not.
Did that fame cost you something?
This was a mistake. I'll take my chances in the woods.
I can help you, Celenia.
How?
I wasn't put here for no reason. Leave now and you will almost certainly die, just like the rest who ignore my warnings. Stay, tell me about your wish, and I might just make your journey a whole lot easier.
What power could you have over these woods?
As much as Mortaine deems fit to grant me, which at the moment is quite a bit.
So you are her champion?
I've never felt that word fit me very well. Glorified housekeeper, more like.
And this place, it's all part of the process. To reach the well.
You could say that.
What do I need to do?
People who come here don't just wake up one day with a wish. Tell me your story. What drove you to this place?
Can you promise me that if I tell you my story, it never leaves these walls?
Even if I told anyone, they would forget as soon as they left this place. So yes, I promise.
How long have you been in these woods?
A very long time.
Then you are likely one of the few who have not heard of the Seekers. We were perhaps one of the most famous groups of adventurers in the world. People saw us as valiant warriors, beacons of goodness and heroism, and role models for every young adventurer who aspired for greatness. But we weren't always known the world over. Once we were up-and-comers with only a few notable feats under our belts. I was in charge of our public image, weaving tales to exaggerate our virtues and obscure our vices. I wish it was purely arrogance for me to say that I'm largely responsible for our notoriety and good regard. The gods know most of us did not deserve it. Regardless, we managed to build ourselves from a crew of amateur mercenaries into sought-after contractors. One day, we were at a tavern celebrating a successful mission.
My friends! Tonight we eat and drink on the coin of a duke, whose head would not still be attached to his shoulders had it not been for his exceedingly capable bodyguards. In his limitless wisdom, he saw fit to enlist the Seekers to protect him from assassins sent by a rivaling nobleman. While his grace addressed the assembled crowd, my team and I hunted the hitmen down one by one. Our ranger, Kayla Beauregard, sighted an archer on the rooftops and put an arrow through his eye before he could reach for his quiver. Farrah and Oliver apprehended 2 malcontents in the crowd who had been planted to incite a riot. Celenia Tannis, our beloved spellslinger, used her magic to teleport the Duke to safety as soon as trouble arose. And I was left to confront their leader and his right-hand man. Still nursing my wound from a wyvern's bite, I only had use of one arm. It was a hard fight, 1 man against 2. But the leader of the Seekers has overcome greater odds than that.
Did you write this part?
No, Loverush is ad-libbing again.
I slew the second in command first, slashing his throat with my blade. Their leader nearly had me in that moment, but I prevailed, pushing him to the ground and placing the tip of my sword against his heart. I considered sparing him, but there was no remorse in his eyes, only the desperate fear of a guilty man. So I ended him swiftly, and in doing so made it known that the protection of the Seekers is the protection of the gods! I'm so proud of what the Seekers have become under my leadership these last 3 years. And tonight, in celebration of another job well done, drinks are on me, down to every last patron.
A wyvern's bite? You stuck your hand in a chest that Celenia told you was a mimic, and you didn't believe her.
Well, that doesn't sound nearly as heroic, does it?
I do not like it when you go off script. I take a lot of care in constructing these speeches for you.
The people like leaders. If anyone's going to take us seriously, they need to know I'm capable. Besides, we're no strangers to embellishment.
People will see through your sloppy lies, Loverash. That's why we let Celenia do it. She's got a keener mind for this than the rest of us combined.
All right, then. You all think you could do my job better? Which one of you would like to call the shots going forward, then, huh? Exactly. You all elected me to be our leader, then let me lead.
Look, the crowd seems to have received it well enough, so why don't we move on for now,
Thank you, Farrah.
I, for one, think Celenia deserves a toast.
Me?
You're the one who found us this job in the first place. And if it wasn't for your quick thinking with the Duke, he would have found out that we nearly let one slip through, and that could have spelled the end of our reputation among the nobility. Thanks to you, though, we're swimming in his gold instead.
Thanks, Farrah.
Why not? A toast to our little story spinner. To Celenia.
To Celenia!
Speaking of getting us jobs, is there something you'd like to fill the others in on, Celenia?
What? A new job already? I thought we were gonna take a break after this one.
Me too. I could really use a sabbatical.
That was the plan, but something came up that's just too good to turn down. Celenia.
I was approached last week by a priest of Dryas. An artifact called the Seed of Dryas has gone missing from the temple, and they've been having trouble finding anyone willing to retrieve it. They are paying 100,000.
That's a lot of gold.
100,000 platinum.
Where is this thing? In a fucking volcano?
Close.
The Seed of Dryas was stolen by the Kul'uran, and as far as we know, they've been keeping it in the heart of their territory beneath Mount Vaxis. We would need to infiltrate their underground city to retrieve it.
You have to be joking.
High risk, high reward.
Do we even stand a chance against the Kul'uran? I don't know about you all, but I've never heard of anyone going that far into their territory and coming out alive.
That's only because we haven't done it yet.
No, this is where I draw the line. We followed you into some crazy shit, Loverash. But this mission is suicide. There's a reason those priests haven't been able to convince anyone to help them. You'd have to have a death wish to even go near that mountain.
I believe we could do it.
Are you seriously considering this, Celenia? You're supposed to be the smart one.
I've been researching the Kul'uran for the last week, and I've made some interesting discoveries. Reports of abandoned passages that circumvent the most populated areas, some of which lead straight to the altar where the seed is likely to be kept. I've managed to decipher their language, too. Using everything I've learned, we may not even come across a Kul'uran, let alone have to fight one.
But you can't guarantee it.
I don't think it's worth the risk. Those creatures are vicious, bloodthirsty killers and twice as fast as any other humanoid. If even just a few of them see us, we're dead.
If we pull off this job, it means 1 million gold in our pockets. Not to mention the prestige that would come with not only surviving a foray into Kul'uran territory, but returning the nature goddess's most sacred artifact to her temple. We're the Seekers, goddammit! Whether or not our reputation is inflated, we've survived insurmountable odds before. We've killed legions of the undead, fought through ruins on the ocean floor. We even survived an encounter with an ancient red dragon and escaped with a portion of its hoard.
We nearly died that time.
But we didn't. We didn't get into this profession because we were scared of danger. To be scared of danger is to be scared of glory, and I know for a fact that every single one of us is as hungry for glory as the other. This is our chance to scribe our names in history. And if we refuse, some other group of wannabe heroes will get the job done, leaving us in their dust. Is that what you all want?
If Celenia thinks we can do it, then I'm in.
Farrah!
Fuck it. Count me in too.
Not you too, Oliver.
Look, when I left home, I told my pop I'd become a famous adventurer or die trying, so this might as well be the moment I figure out which it's gonna be.
Good man. That just leaves you, Kayla. We need you with us.
Fine. But I'm gonna need some better equipment. And it's coming out of your pocket.
I'm about to have too much platinum in my pocket to fit. Take as much as you like.
The seed of Dryas was stolen. In the wrong hands, that could spell the end of plant life across Iathis.
Which is exactly why the temple was willing to pay so much for its retrieval. But it's difficult to put a price tag on that kind of risk. They say that if fear were given flesh, it would look like a Kul'uran. If they ever stood up straight, they would reach 9 feet in height, but they lean ever forward with a crooked spine, their spindly arms dangling as if dead. Their eyes are as black as the caves they call home, and their pallid, gray skin pulls taut against their bones like a shirt 2 sizes too small. One wouldn't think any such species could possess any significant amount of intelligence, but their society is shockingly complex. They have a spoken and written language, albeit one that sounds like the dying shrieks of a dog. Their city beneath Mount Vaxis is a marvel of subterranean architecture riddled with polished black tiles, carved archways, and aqueducts. Having now seen it myself, I would argue that their craftsmanship and infrastructure is second only to some dwarven cities. But, as civilized as their city may make them seem, they remain ruthless, vicious killers. They prowl the land around their mountain in packs, running down any creature with breath in its lungs, humanoid or otherwise. Unable to resist a kill, they'll pile on one creature at a time until they've torn it limb from limb, before moving on to their next prey. Your only hope of surviving an encounter with a Kul'uran hunting party is running while they satisfy their bloodlust on one of your companions, and hope they forget about you. At least, that's the common wisdom.
I've read stories about the Kul'uran. I always assumed they were exaggerated. Tales parents told their children to keep them away from the mountain.
They're real. In fact, they're worse than the stories make them out to be. But this job was too grand an opportunity to pass up, so I did everything in my power to find a way to recover the seed without having to engage them. After Lovaresh and I convinced the party to take the mission, we took some time to prepare and set out towards Mount Vaxis.
How many days will we have to travel underground again?
1 to get into Kul'uran territory, 1 to get the seed, and 1 to get out.
How long do you think before the sun rises?
Another hour, at least. Do you have to do that right this moment, Farrah? I am trying to read.
Oh, sorry, am I distracting you, princess?
Princess? Kayla is the princess, not me.
Yeah, the literal one. But let's be real, you act more like a princess than she does. You talk more like one, too.
I am simply practiced at the subtle art of eloquence. Kayla knows it too, but she seems to have abandoned her manners as well as her station.
So what am I then? Some kind of cave troll?
Your words, not mine. Hey!
What are you reading, anyway?
These are my notes on the Kul'uran.
Oh, come on, you've read through those a million times this week.
And I will read through them a million more if it means we do not get killed.
We'll be fine. Even if we do come across a few, I'm sure we can take them.
No, Farrah, if you see one, you run and hide. Especially if you're alone.
Why would I be alone? We're all gonna stick together like always, aren't we? So long as we're in a group, they can't do that much damage.
Perhaps, but I would rather we did not have to test our luck. These creatures kill anything that does not look like them on sight, especially if they're within their territory. There is no reasoning with them, only violence.
Well, let's hope your plan works and we don't come across anything. I have full faith in you, Celenia.
I wish I did.
Hey, look at me. You wouldn't have gotten us this job if you didn't know we were up to the task. And none of us would have come along if we didn't trust you implicitly. Whatever doubts you have now, we have more faith in your instincts than we have ever had in Loveresh.
You better hope he's sound asleep right now. He fights worse with a bruised ego.
Hey, and fighting's all he's good for.
Thank you, Farrah.
Don't mention it.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Why do you never buy new equipment for yourself? You've been using the same old daggers since we began traveling together.
I don't know. I just never felt I needed anything different, I guess. They've served me well these last few years. Why replace them?
Well, they're getting pretty beaten up.
Excuse you. I take excellent care of my daggers.
Then why can I see a nick near the crossguard there?
You see nothing.
The leather around the handles is completely worn, too.
It adds character.
You're always lending your money to us when there's something that we need but can't afford, and you insist that you're fine with what you have when that's clearly not the case.
I am fine with what I have. Really.
Be that as it may, I might have gotten you a gift.
A gift? From a princess? Oh, but I am just a lowly peasant woman. I could never.
Would you please just let me be nice to you without being sarcastic for once?
Yes, Your Highness.
Celenia, I don't know much about blades. I mean, I read up on the different kinds and tried to pick ones that suited your fighting style. But if you don't like them, I can have them traded in when we get back to town. I'll just have to get the smith to redo the customizations. Which wouldn't be a problem, of course, if you would still rather use your old ones. I completely understand.
They're beautiful, Celenia. Can I hold them?
Oh, of course.
They are incredibly well balanced. How much did these cost you?
Not much, really. Do you like them?
Like them? These blow my old ones out of the water. The Kul'uran definitely are not getting me now that I have these.
Did you see the inscription?
Let's see. Bravery, heroism, seeker.
Try not to put a nick in either of those.
Oh, shut up.
Oliver.
I'm sorry, it's dark in here.
The closer we get to the altar, the more likely we are to encounter traps. We could trigger an alarm if we are not careful, and a Kul'uran patrol will be on our tail in minutes.
I do not like lingering in one place for this long. We're so close to the sea, and there hasn't been a single trap thus far.
That does not mean there won't be any ahead of us. We cannot risk being compromised now.
Celenia is right. We're just a few turns from the seed. It's best to be cautious.
Fine. How much longer?
I am almost done deciphering this inscription.
Hurry it up, then.
Hang in there. We're nearly done.
He is not treating this mission with the gravity it deserves.
I know. I think Everyone is just anxious to get out of here. It feels like we've been walking on eggshells all day, never knowing what's around the corner.
We have confirmed this tunnel system is abandoned, so we can retreat much quicker than we came in. But if we attract attention before we grab the seed, we're doomed.
You don't have to remind me.
Oliver, come look at this.
Look at what?
By the wall here.
It looks like a dead rat? So what?
Its head was severed. And not long ago. Look how fresh it is.
Maybe some larger animal bit its head off?
And didn't eat the carcass. Think. There's only one creature larger than a rat this deep in the mountain.
What are you two prattling on about?
Kul'uran have been here. And recently...
Did that come from behind us?
I thought Celenia said these tunnels weren't being used.
Quiet.
The passage is safe. We can...
Shit! There's more of them! I can see the altar room. The seat is right there.
We're too fast. We won't make it.
Farrah! Wait! Get off of her!
No! Let them have her.
What the fuck are you saying? Let go of me!
The Kul'uran cannot resist the kill. They'll be too distracted to follow us. Don't let her sacrifice be in vain. That's an order, Celenia. Kayla, grab the seed. We must move quickly.
This way! I think I found a way out!
Come on, Celenia!
I'm sorry. Fuck.
Take all the time you need.
After we fled with the seed, we had to find a new path through the labyrinth. I barely remember the journey back to the surface. None of us spoke, not even when we found her body. They had pinned what was left of her to the wall of the tunnel we entered from, as a warning. I looked away as soon as I saw her, but it was enough for that image to be burned into my mind forever. We managed to evade another encounter with the Kul'uran in the maze of tunnels, but it took us more than a day to make it out of the mountain.
We did it. We actually did it.
It better have been worth it.
What did you just say?
I said it better have been worth it.
It is. Once we bring the seed back to the temple, there won't be a guild in all the world that doesn't know our names. We'll have enough gold to buy ourselves a castle if we wanted. Now we only have to split it 4 ways.
The fuck did you just say?
What do you want me to say, Kayla? That it could have turned out differently? Well, it couldn't have.
You don't know that.
Would you rather all 5 of us had died? As leader, it falls upon me to make difficult decisions for the good of the party. Farrah's sacrifice paved the way for our escape, and I will not apologize for saving your lives.
There were only 3 of them. We might have been able to save her.
A risk too great to take. You saw how those things moved. We're only lucky they're too stupid to fight man to man. Can you not see this is what Farrah would have wanted?
She was screaming for us to help her. How is this what she would have wanted?
She was aware of the risk. We all were. This is the bitter truth of the life of a mercenary. We fight, we fall, we die, and the world moves on. Wasting time mourning is pointless.
We're a fucking team, Loverash, and you told us to abandon her.
You obeyed!
Blame me all you want, but when I gave the order, all of you obeyed. What's done is done, and now we must deal with the consequences. You grew up in the courts, Kayla. You of all people should know the importance of reputation.
We need to spin this so that the people believe she went willingly to her death. Celenia, do you know what you're going to tell the masses? Celenia!
Yes. I will tell them a tale of brave sacrifice. Heroics.
I need details. Recite it to me.
Loveresh.
Shut up and walk! We need to be on the same page by the time we get back to town. We're at the guild hall giving our official report to the guildmaster, and the town criers are lined up to hear the story of the heroes who recovered this seed of Dryas. What do you tell them?
The Seekers have braved the depths of Mount Vaxis, ground no sellsword has dared tread in decades, and plunged into the cold heart of Kul'uran territory to recover the seed of Dryas. This sacred artifact was stolen from its appointed guardians, and we believe the Kul'uran had plans to perform a ritual to drain it of its power. Had they succeeded, there would not be a blade of grass in all the world that did not wither. We could not sit idly by and watch as our beloved world faded at the cruel hands of the beasts under the mountain. So, with the knowledge that this deadly mission may be our last, we steeled ourselves and we made haste for Mount Vaxis. We fought long and hard, sending many of the creatures into Mortaine's chilly embrace, but we were 5 men and women against a city of aberrations. When our odds became bleak, our beloved and heroic companion Farrah threw herself into the fray in an act of self-sacrifice. It was that brave sacrifice which paved the way for our escape with the seed of Dryas. It is because of her that your farms still prosper, that the plains beyond these very walls are still green. Now that we have returned the seed to its rightful place, we ask that the guild and those who have been following our exploits respect our request for privacy, so that we may properly mourn a lost companion. No. A member of our family.
Celenia, how long were you in the Kul'uran city? Is it true that they live in pure darkness?
Miss Tannis, how many of the creatures did Loveresh
Is
slay?
it true that the Kul'uran dismember and flay their victims?
You did well. The people will believe that.
I felt like I was going to vomit.
You needn't speak about the subject any longer. When someone asks you about it, just pretend it still hurts too much to talk about.
Pretend?
Here, this is your share of the earnings. You could do worse than 25,000 platinum.
Where are the others?
They're cowards. As soon as the priest divvied up the earnings, they ran off saying they quit. Kayla said she was going back to her kingdom to resume life at the palace. Oliver muttered something about his home in the countryside, which is the most I've heard him speak since we left the mountain. We'll have to hire replacements for them and Farrah, but once news of our exploits spread, we shouldn't have any trouble finding more capable companions.
We're all that's left?
It's probably for the best. Oliver was a fretful amateur, and Kayla's ego had been blown out of proportion from her time as a royal. Now we can afford to be much more selective in the recruitment process. Take on some companions who actually know what they're doing.
Fuck the platinum.
What? What are you talking about?
It's yours. Now you can buy that castle you wanted.
Celenia! God damn it, come back, Celenia!
That was the last time I saw Loveresh, but it was far from the last time I would hear his name. He rebuilt the Seekers from scratch, using the wealth and fame afforded him by retrieving the seed to establish himself as a hero among heroes. Today, he is one of the most famous men in the world, and by proxy, his former companions are well known too. Kayla is preparing to succeed her mother as queen. I haven't heard a word about Oliver, but I'd wager he went back home to his family farm. And I get by working small jobs, taking advantage of my reputation as a former Seeker to get clients when I need them. Not a single one of us has spoken the truth of what happened that day. I don't sleep. I can hardly stomach a meal. Every sleeping and waking moment is haunted by the image of her corpse, pinned to the wall with Kul'uran spears. When I hear laughter, I hear those creatures. When I hear shouting, I hear her screams. When a stranger calls me by name, I want to crawl into a shell and hide. I wish I could be like Loveresh and just move on, but it hurts just as much now as it did 2 years ago.
And now you want to forget.
I was escorting some merchants over land when we set up camp outside the Manglewood. I sat there staring into the fire, somehow hoping it would burn my memories away. If only I could erase that day from my mind, I could live my life again, rid myself of this guilt.
I understand.
No, you don't.
You feel like a walking wound. Every breath you breathe hurts a little more than the last, and you feel undeserving of every single day. Once in a while you catch yourself smiling, and then something deep within you rejects any semblance of joy. After all, what did you ever do to earn it? But believe me, Celenia, erasing your memories won't make that go away. Grief alters a person's soul forever, and if you blind yourself to its cause, you blind yourself to the path forward. Did you make the wrong choice? I can't say. Maybe you all really would have died if you'd gone back to help her, and it was the lesser of two evils. Or maybe you could have saved her. But that doesn't matter now, does it? Because you already made the choice, and that's all you'll think about from now on. But we feel guilt for a reason, Celenia. Guilt is a call to action, a constant maddening whisper to make things right. The others have chosen to ignore it. Loveresh has convinced himself that he bears no guilt at all, and has used Farrah's passing to launch himself into further fame. Oliver has gone into hiding, probably hoping the simple life will feel as hollow as he does. Kayla returned to her gilded halls to be waited on by servants and wear a false face in front of her people. And you? In wishing your memories away, you're not just killing a part of yourself, Celenia. You're killing a part of her. The only part she left you. Is that atonement? Or are you just leaving her behind again?
How am I supposed to go on like this? This isn't a life.
You could be just another person who forgot her. Or you could live to be the reason her death held no sting. You get to decide when the last echoes of her legacy die out. You can go out into those woods and let that moment be now. Or you can live on for her.
What if I'm not strong enough?
You don't need to be strong. You just need to be brave. This path will lead you safely out of the Manglewood. To you, it will appear as though you simply changed your mind and went back the way you came.
What if I change my mind again and come back?
Then you would be one of my only repeat visitors, and I'd look forward to us speaking again. But that won't happen.
I believe I already know the answer, but is it true what they say? The well can grant any wish except to bring someone back from the dead?
Mortaine governs both fate and death. The two are inextricably linked. When a person dies, their thread is severed, and to attempt to tether them back to the land of the living is to deny them their final rest. Death is one aspect of fate that my goddess is not willing to bend.
When you see Mortaine, tell her to look after Farrah for me.
I will.
You know that your case is different than hers, right?
So you had a chance to listen in this time. Slow day at work?
It's never a slow day in Celestia.
I was promised wine. This is a strange friendship we have, isn't it? Not that I'm complaining. I get immortality and free wine from the heavens. But do most gods sit down for a nightcap with their champions?
No, they mostly just sleep with them.
I knew you were trying to get me in bed.
I am not so eager to lie with another as the other gods are. A fact that Amber is not too pleased with.
Wait, have they tried to make a move on you?
The god of love is insatiable.
I don't know whether to feel bad for their champion or jealous. Holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever tasted.
Isn't it?
It almost reminds me of something I've had before, but I can't put my finger on it.
I've heard it said that it tastes like orange blossoms.
Yeah, that's probably it. Sure beats the whiskey I was drinking earlier.
When you use mundane ingredients, you get mundane results.
You'll have to get me some celestial grains so I can make a whiskey fit for a god.
Though you smile when joy is far, still I find you beautiful, akin to all the brightest stars when the moon is low.
If you'd like to listen to the full song inspired by this episode, you can find it by searching Farrah's Song by Chase Noseworthy and Lilli Furfaro wherever you get your music. And if you would like to help make sure that we can continue to make this show, as well as get early access to episodes as soon as they're finished, you can support us at patreon.com/theBardicHearth. Anything you can give means the world. Our special guest this episode was DianaOfTheRose, who created and played Celenia. Diana makes really cool D&D oriented content on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and pretty much all the social platforms, and I highly recommend you go check her out. You can find her by searching DianaOfTheRose pretty much anywhere. Wren and Loveresh were played by Chase Noseworthy. Mortaine was played by Rochelle Ibarra. Celenia was played by DianaOfTheRose. Oliver was played by Troy Allan. Kayla was played by Karenna Foley. Farrah was played by Lilli Furfaro. This episode was co-written by Chase Noseworthy and DianaOfTheRose and produced by Chase Noseworthy.